Hello again everybody, and welcome back to the Welsh Lady ASMR. And I'm back today. I'm going to do a softly spoken video, and I thought I would do one on my library book haul. I thought I'd show you the selection of books I've had out from my local library and tell you a little bit about each book, show you the pages, and talk you through why I chose it. So let's have a little look at the first book. So this one is a paperback and it is called First Bite, How We Learn to Eat, and it's by B. Wilson. And there's the spine, as you can see. And I was browsing the section on food, healthy eating, that type of thing, because I think I've mentioned on this channel I did a juice fast going back more than a month ago now, and I did a juice only plan for 4 weeks, and I felt really good after it, and I didn't want to go back to eating a load of junk food as I was doing previously. Too much sugar, too much processed stuff. So that juice plan really gave me a reset and got me thinking about how I want to eat going forward. And I know I felt so good eating or drinking just vegetable and fruit extracts, and I kind of wanted to keep that going afterwards and really up the ante on the amount of vegetables and fruit that I have. Now, I've always considered myself a pretty good veg salady person, but seeing the amounts of the extracted fruit and veg I was having made me realise that I could certainly cram a lot more vegetables into my life. So I'm not vegan, I still have the odd meat and fish, but I'm really trying to increase the amount of plants that I consume. And so, back to my book, I was in the library and I was browsing for inspiration around the food recipe books really. And this ordinarily wouldn't have jumped out particularly, as you can see on the spine. Isn't it terribly excited? Maybe the carrot, a little image of a carrot, enticed me. But I was curious to the title, and then I realised this isn't a recipe book as such. It is more a historical look at our diet and how diet fads have come and gone, and I haven't finished it as yet. As you know, I do have a habit of having lots of books on the go at once and dipping in now and then, especially in the summer when the weather's been so hot and so, the nights now are so long and we have so much daylight. I'm not really finding much time to sit around and read. So I've read the majority of it and I have found it fascinating. And it's looking at how we are raised and how our past generations have been raised, what type of food we used to give babies. And it's been educational and really, again, added to me thinking about diet, really. So I'll read you the blurb on the back, and I'll read you the little bit on the front page, because there is a little explanation here. And that says, be brave, drop the diet, make peace. If any book can effect long-term weight loss, it should be this one, because it feeds the mind rather than denying the body. That was the review by The Times. And on the back, there is another review by somebody called John Lanchester. Don't know who John Lanchester is, but this is what they have to say. A brilliant, heartfelt book about this crisis in our contemporary diet. Wilson is intelligent, passionate, sincere, tirelessly curious and endlessly willing to admit mistakes and learn from experience. So this is the little blurb about the book, in case you're curious. We are not born knowing what to eat. We each have to figure it out for ourselves. From childhood onwards, we learn how big a portion is and how sweet is too sweet. The way we learn to eat holds the key to why food has gone so disastrously wrong for so many people. But how does this happen? And can we ever change our food habits for the better? And then it goes on. It's an exploration of the extraordinary and surprising origins of our taste and eating habits. In First Bites, award-winning food writer B. Wilson explains how we can change our palates to lead healthier, happier lives. And I've got one more review from, oddly enough, the Financial Times. A feast of a book. Wilson's focus on how we learn to eat rather than on what we eat is a refreshing new template for improving our relationship with food. So I don't know if that entices you, makes you curious. I think it is an interesting new way of looking, or maybe not new, but just a different way of looking at our diet in general, not just for losing weight, but how our education around food has changed, and as I said, what we feed our children. So, not finished it, but I've read enough to know that it's been and a good read. So the next book I've got is Unusual Shape. And this is a book I requested at my local library because I went online, had a look at the catalogue, because as you may remember if you've seen the video, I did a walk going back a couple of weeks ago on the Taff trail, or at least part of the Taff trail. I caught the train to Taff's Wells and then walked back into central Cardiff to get the train home. So before I did that walk, I was wondering if there were any books on the Taff trail in the library, because the one I've got I bought second hand, is quite old. So I was looking to see if there were more updated ones. And I came across this on the catalogue, so I ordered it, and I went to pick it up the same time as I got these other books. And it's lovely, beautiful. It's mainly photographs, but it does talk a little on the history of the Taff, and it's called River Taff, From Source to Sea, and it is by Alvin Nicholas and Ingrid Nicholas. And as you can see, feast of photography, the back cover. And the cover here is the area around Cardiff Bay. This is it was the St. David's Hotel. It's called something different now. But if you're familiar with Cardiff Bay, it is a beautiful, it's been sort of really transformed in the last 30 years from a very industrial or derelict dock area into a very vibrant residential, leisure and an active marina. And there's a big barrage there, you can take boat trips, etc. And this book is, as I said, full of photographs of the River Taff from where it begins and where it ends up. And I haven't visited Castell Coch as yet, but when I was doing my walk I passed the entrance, so this will be the bit that I see next. And then here you've got a little schematic graph of where the Taff starts, somewhere along in the Brecon Beacons, and its path to where it finally ends up at Cardiff Bay, going out to sea. So as I go on these walks, I do love to know a little bit more about the history of the area and what industries were there. And when I walked from Taff's Wells, there were a lot of these buildings. That's the remains of an old viaduct here. And in 1977, when it was the Queen's Silver Jubilee, there was painted on there ER 1977, and then every Jubilee since then they added, like for the Golden Jubilee, they added dates. And I walked past that the day I caught the train, and it's called Walnut Tree Viaduct. Well, I didn't know that. So I'm going to enjoy pouring through this because I will be doing another walk going north next time from Taff's Wells past Castell Coch and on to Pontypridd. So yeah, this is going to be really useful to read. So again, I will, for your interest, read the little introduction which is inside the book. And it goes like this. The Taff is one of the iconic rivers of Wales. It flows south from the highest peaks of the remote Brecon Beacons, following an interesting and varied route to Cardiff Bay. This stunning photographic journey gives an insight into the river's many facets, contrasting rural backwaters with urban landscapes, industrial heritage with unspoilt nature, inland with maritime. This book explores the river's history and hidden secrets and documents how people, both past and present, have interacted with it. From Isambard Kingdom Brunel to fly fishers and adrenaline seekers, we travel along the river via the 89-kilometre Taff Trail, passing reservoirs, dramatic waterfalls, stunning mountain backdrops, and numerous historic bridges. Wonder at the heritage of the former South Wales mining area and watch as the river enters the tree-cloaked Taff Gorge with a legend-rich thermal spring. That's the area I saw when I went. This book illustrates beautifully how the river meanders through woods and meadows before approaching the bright lights of Cardiff, terminating at the visually stunning Cardiff Bay. So that's a real treat. And again, I've not really delved into it too much as yet, but I will be before my next little walking trip. Talking of walking, I'm going to introduce you into another book that I've had from the library, and again one I haven't finished but have started, and this one is called The January Man. And as you can see, lovely illustration on the front of some British countryside. And it is called The January Man, A Year of Walking Britain, and it's by Christopher Somerville. I hadn't heard of Christopher Somerville, but it turns out he is the walking correspondent at the Times newspaper, and he is one of Britain's most respected and prolific travel writers, with 36 books, hundreds of newspaper articles, and many TV and radio appearances to his name, and he lives in Bristol. So this book, I'll read from the back page again for you, is a wise, entertaining, kind book. A book not just for walkers or nature lovers, but anyone who loves a good story. And that is by that review by Rachel Joyce, who is the author of The Unlikely Pilgrimage of Harold Fry. Another review here. It's not just Somerville's knowledge, it's the truth and clarity in his prose, which is like the pure tone that comes from a tuning fork. That is by John Lewis Stemple, author of Meadowland and The Running Hare. Another review here by Nicholas Crane. Human nature, richly woven into the cycle of the seasons and the ecologies of father and son, observed with the passion and learning of Britain's favourite walker. A truly wonderful, uplifting book. I do love books on walks, either guidebooks describing walks, and I also love reading about people who've done walks. I've got another book in my camper van called The Salt Path. Can't remember who it's by. I'll put the name up here. Gorgeous lady wrote it. Her and her husband walked the whole of the southwest coast path, and through really difficult circumstances, and it's a lovely read. And I read lots of books about people who've walked long distance paths, so I often make my way to that section of the library. So again, I'll read the description so you've got a better idea of what this book is about. The January Man is the story of a year of walks that was inspired by a song. Dave Goulder's The January Man. Month by month, season by season, and region by region, Christopher Somerville walks the British Isles, following routes that continually bring his late father to mind. As he travels the country from the winter floodlands of the River Severn to the lambing pastures of Nidderdale, the towering seabird cliffs on the Shetland Isle of Fowler in June, and the ancient oaks of Sherwood Forest in autumn. Not sure I've got the pronunciation correct. I do apologise if not. He describes the history, wildlife, landscapes and people he encounters down back lanes and old paths in rain and fair weather. This exquisitely written account of the British countryside not only inspires us to don our boots and explore the 140,000 miles of footpaths across the British Isles, but also illustrates how on long distance walks we can come to an understanding of ourselves and our fellow walkers. Over the hills and along the byways, Christopher Somerville examines what moulded the men of his father's generation, so reticent about their wartime experiences, so self-effacing, upright and dutiful, as he searches for the man inside the man that his own father really was. So, again, it's a book. I'm hanging on to this book from the library, stopping anyone else reading it, really. But it's just, I want to read it. I'm just not finding the time to do it. Maybe I should take it back, take it out again in the autumn, winter time. I don't even want to talk about autumn and winter yet. We're in the middle of summer, and I love the summer. But the book, I've just noticed, here has got downloadable walks and maps. And I love, as I said, reading other people's stories of walks, especially long distance walks. And I find it quite inspiring. And myself and Richard, my husband, are going to be doing some walking. We're going away very soon for 4 days of walking. And I will tell you all about that and where we're going when we get back. I will no doubt have some stories for you. And I'm going to show you one more book, which is on the theme of eating again. I got this one out of the same section as the First Bite book. And this might be familiar, this lady, to some of you. Better known probably as Deliciously Ella. She was quite unwell going back 12 years or so ago. She had some kind of autoimmune illness and she was given medication which didn't help. She was really, really unwell, bedbound, and she decided to look at her diet and really changed how she was eating. A lot of sugar and junk. So she went plant-based. So there's a theme here. This is the food I'm looking at the moment. And I like this book. It is a recipe book and it's the quick and easy, which is exactly what I like. Quick and easy recipes. And all the recipes are plant-based, but they are incredibly tasty. I have made a few things from here and they've been amazing. So let me show you what's inside. And on the back, look, some examples of the recipes. Yum, yum, yum. Okay, so plant-based deliciousness with over 100 new recipes, from 10-minute pastas to hearty dals and stews, lunchbox ideas and snacks. This book makes quick, delicious, plant-based meals an easy part of your week. Health is also explored as a broader topic with expert guests from our #1 podcast, sharing their advice on how you can feel a little healthier and happier every day, from getting better sleep to managing stress, eating a balanced diet, and tips for a healthy gut. Here's the contents page. The recipes are divided up into different chapters. So chapter 1 is breakfasts, chapter 2 dips and dressings, chapter 3 recipes that take round about 10 to 15 minutes, chapter 4 recipes that take 20 to 30 minutes, and then chapter 5 big batch, so that's cooking and freezing, chapter 6 sweet. Yes, and then chapter 7, weekend, which is slower, longer recipes for when you've got more time. So I've spied a few things I want to make and a few things I've already made. Now these are one I haven't made yet, but I do have all the ingredients. How about those cookies? They're breakfast, simple 5 ingredient breakfast cookies, so they're not overly sweet. Various recipes here for pancakes, granola. I've made this, in fact I had this for lunch today. Smashed chickpea sandwich. Sort of equivalent, a bit like a tuna mayonnaise sandwich. Literally using a tin of chickpeas with onion, mashing them down with lemon juice and cider vinegar, some mayonnaise, and adding it to a sandwich with lots of salad, tomato, avocados. Yum. Not really a recipe as such, but it was fantastic. The couple of things here I am interested in making. Chickpeas feature a lot, by the way. I made when my little grandson was around. What I like about this book is once you have the basic ingredients in your cupboard, you can make so many different things, like using lentils, chickpeas or tinned beans, rice, you know, all the staple things. Lovely recipe for, looks like a minestrone. There was a curry I made here. Which one was that? Oh. This is one I've got the ingredients for and I'm going to do very soon. And that's a walnut and mushroom ragu. Yeah, oh yummy, that looks so gorgeous. I made this one on the weekend and it was lush, really nice. I did adapt, I didn't use an aubergine, but I used, I had a courgette, so I threw that in, and red lentils. Served it with a jacket potato for my little grandson and he loved it. And then I had it with pasta. Yummy. I appreciate for those of you who love meat, this probably isn't thrilling you in the slightest. But even if you still eat meat, then I think some of these recipes are worth looking at. I also made for my grandson, and I had some. These were utterly gorgeous, really gorgeous. Chocolate banana muffins, and you've got very ripe bananas here mashed up with plant milk, almond or oat milk, some coconut oil, cocoa powder, spelt flour, coconut, or I use brown sugar, bicarb of soda, baking powder, pinch of salt, some dark chocolate chips, and honestly they were incredible. They didn't last long. Everybody devoured those, whether they are plant-based, vegan or not. And I have got the ingredients, and very soon I'm going to be making this. It's a gorgeous looking loaf of bread, sunflower and spelt. And the really good thing about it, there's no yeast in it, there's no proving. It is, you literally spelt flour, porridge oats, bicarbonate of soda, brown sugar or coconut sugar, sunflower seeds, water and salt. And I'm really looking forward to that. Looks delicious. Well, that's my stack of books from the library that I have at the moment. As you can tell, I really need to spend a bit more time actually reading them. But yeah, I just love having the books here, and I like picking them up and flicking through them and then putting them down again. Some of them require a little bit more effort and reading, but I hope you've enjoyed having a little look and a nose at the books I'm reading at the moment. And yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll be back with another one very soon.